It's January, I'm in the snow, I'm soaking wet. What better weather to test out the HOKA Speedgoat 6. I've still got half a long run to complete, but let's go back to when I first unboxed these on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, it's Christmas Day, and I wouldn't normally be filming a video on Christmas Day, but new shoes. So I'm going to take them for a first run and give you some first impressions. I've got 40 minutes until my lift back home leaves, so I'd better get going. 20 minutes out, 20 minutes back along the canal. Are we ready? Yes we are, let's go. First run in the HOKA Speedgoat 6. What a lovely path. I've never run fully down this canal before, partly because it's been too muddy and I haven't had trail shoes, but it's gorgeous. Also, I've seen so many runners out this morning. Considering it's Christmas Day, it's like everyone's trying to get their run in before sitting down at the table and not getting back up again for 4 hours. So far, Speedgoat feeling really nice. Definitely got a lot of grip, but still nicely padded, firm, but not too firm. Everything's in a very good balance with this shoe so far. I have got something in my shoe though. For more runs, I'll probably do a runner's knot. Feels a little bit loose around the ankle, and I think that's how a stone managed to get in. Okay, it doesn't look as impressive, but I felt that. So there you go, those were my first impressions of the HOKA Speedgoat 6, but let's give you some stats to tell you what this shoe has to offer. So obviously it is a trail shoe. It's meant for going off-road, hitting the hills, mud, dirt, rocks, whatever. It's not meant for road running. It was released in September of 2024, and it was an upgrade to the already plentiful line of Speedgoat shoes that have already gained a lot of respect. It costs £140 from the HOKA website, although already I'm seeing a few discounts on this, especially around Christmas and New Year. It weighs 278 grams, and obviously that kind of doesn't ever mean anything because you don't really know what size that's in, but that is kind of comparable to like Easy Day Max Cushion shoes, so it's not really light, but you don't want it to be light, you want it to protect your foot, so that's not a bad thing. The stack height is 40mm in the heel and 35mm in the front, which means there's a 5mm drop, so it's got a pretty hefty chunk of cushioning underneath it. Sometimes trail shoes are a little bit flatter and a little bit less cushion, so you can feel the ground and you're not kind of unstable, you're not balancing on top of rocks and then a massive bit of cushion, but this is really designed to help the legs and still provide a lot of cushioning on a trail shoe. One of the biggest differences is obviously it's got this Vibram outsole which has lugs that are apparently 5mm, so they're not going to wear down quickly, they're going to be really durable rubber, and that's what's going to help you grip onto all the stuff that isn't road. It's also had an upgrade to the foam. It's now lighter and more responsive, as HOKA say on their website, although I couldn't actually find out what type of foam it is. I assume maybe it's some kind of EVA foam, something like that. That would be great, but I don't really know what foam goes in trail shoes. It feels pretty firm. It's not going to be anything fancy, but it has had an upgrade since the 5. So apart from the numbers, what other features does this shoe have? It's actually really, really wet, so I'm going to put it down because I ran in the snow in it yesterday and it has not dried out yet. Okay, so it's got a lightweight woven upper, and I didn't really look at the Speedgoat 5 or 4 because I haven't seen them before, but I think this is an upgrade. It's got a kind of meshy bit in the middle, the centre of where your toes are. It's clearly a bit protective in case there are any rocks flying about, but also light and breathable. I'm thinking in the summer you're not going to have any problems with this overheating. If you get water in it, it'll dry out relatively quickly, things like that. It's got a fully gusseted tongue, which means the tongue is attached on both sides to the bottom of the shoe, and that's kind of like one of those little things that everyone says in shoe reviews, and you're like, well, what does that actually mean? Do I actually notice a difference? It just means the tongue isn't as likely to move around over the top of your foot. It's not going to slip to one side or anything like that, and I guess that's extra important in trail shoes when your foot and ankle is sort of turning like that. You don't want the tongue slipping about everywhere. And as I said, HOKA say it's a lighter and more responsive midsole. So more responsive means that when you push off the ground, the foam is going to give you more energy. It's going to bounce you off a bit more. It's not going to be so dead, and it's not going to feel like as clunky, I guess. So clearly they've designed this shoe not just to deal with the surface, but also maybe to go a bit faster and help you propel across the terrain. And one little thing for you, it's vegan. Is that important in choosing a shoe? Up to you, but the shoe is apparently fully vegan. Okay, what do I think of the shoe? Well, first of all, I don't do trail running really. Like when I go home and I go to Devon, I go over the moors and things, and that's quite technical and pretty traily, but day to day, I don't do trail running. Mainly it's road running. I'm in the centre of Newcastle. I don't get out onto the trails very often, so take my opinions maybe with a pinch of salt. But if you're looking for just a trail shoe for those occasional times when it's wet or you're going to a muddy park run or something like that, maybe you can listen to this because it's coming from not such a serious trail running perspective. So what are some pros? Firstly, it is grippy. Those 5mm lugs really attach onto the ground nicely below you, and I've had absolutely no problems with slippage, and over the past few days it's been really icy and cold, and I've worn them out, and Newcastle is really good at becoming an absolute ice rink in January and February, but I didn't have any problems slipping. I felt really grippy still, which is testament to how good the lugs are. I think it's quite a slender trail shoe. It doesn't feel too heavy or cumbersome, and I've only had one trail shoe before, and it was an Adidas one, and it felt a lot more, it felt big, it felt clunky, felt like I could feel it when I was lifting my foot up. But this feels slender, nice. It's a nice shape for my foot, and obviously I really like HOKA shoes. I've made that very well known on this channel. They fit my feet really nicely, so maybe I'm a bit biased in that sense. But I think it's nice, it's sleek, that lightweight upper doesn't feel heavy, and although it's got a lot of sturdiness to it, it doesn't feel like you're lugging around a massive chunk on your foot. I also found the shoe to be very true to size. Obviously I know my size in HOKA, I've worn them a lot before, and I know they fit me really well, so I got an 11, which is what I've got in all other HOKA shoes and most running shoes, and that fit absolutely fine, didn't have any problems. Apart from one little thing, but I'll get onto that in a minute. The last point that I've got to make is it's really nice to pull on. I know that's such a stupid little thing, but it's got a nice hook at the back here that you can put your finger in and pull it on. It's got this nice little flare here. Just those little things that make a running shoe a little bit nicer really. What are some cons? Well, first of all, although it fit really nicely around the rest of my foot, the ankle was a bit loose. I noticed when I first had it, it was kind of fine on my right foot, but on my left foot it was definitely a little bit loose. I said it in that video, and a stone got in there as well. So I thought, let's do a runner's knot. But the tongue is really pretty short actually. It doesn't leave you a lot of room once you've done the runner's knot to get the laces over, so you kind of have to pull the tongue up quite a lot. Once it's there, it's fine. I didn't have any problems with it slipping down or anything, but that is just something to note. The laces aren't particularly long, and the tongue isn't very long either. This is kind of a weird con because it's not something it's designed for, but it's pretty stiff on the road. Like I can feel the rubber outsole. It doesn't bend particularly easily when I'm running on the road, but it's not designed to be run on the road, so is that really a con? Like there is that whole genre of shoe which is a road to trail shoe. I think the HOKA Challenger might be a version of the Speedgoat that's a bit more road to trail oriented, so you can run on both, whereas this is definitely more of just a trail shoe with the harder terrain in mind. So in summary, do I like this shoe? Well, yeah, I do. I don't really have much experience to kind of judge. I haven't tried a lot of other shoes to know whether it's the best, but I've had absolutely no problems with it. I've run almost 50 miles in it over the past couple of weeks. Used it in pretty much every terrain you can want. Super wet, icy, snowy, muddy, grassy, hills, rocks, gravel, road. Like this has been put through its paces, and I've found no problems with it yet. I really like it. Yes, there are definitely some more serious options out there like Innovate and the Mud Claws and all of those kind of things, and I'm sure seasoned trail runners won't all go for the Speedgoat, but I think especially if you just want something that you know is gonna work, you don't want anything particularly fancy but a really solid option that will last for a while, I can't really see you going wrong with the Speedgoat. Have you got the Speedgoat? Let me know in the comments and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. There'll be more shoe reviews along the way. The next one is a bit of a faster shoe. That's coming later on in January. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.